What's going on, YouTube? RDAPdan here. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend and hope you got to do something really fun. So welcome to Federal Prison Time with RDAPdan. You guys will tell me if the audio and video is screwed up until I get a faster, stronger computer to process all this awesome YouTube power. So anyway, what's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. One, we're going to be talking about an awesome interview I found online, actually, from another prison consultant, Michael Santos. I actually stole the clip from an interview he did with the judge that is talking about PSRs and personal narratives. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. First off, I want to give a huge shout out to an amazing 14-year-old kid that called me today out of the blue. Called me up, asked me. I thought maybe it was a prank call at first. So this 14-year-old man, we should call him. He's definitely not a kid. His father sentenced to, I think he said, 12 years in prison. He's 14 years old. His name is Dylan. He's probably watching right now. He sent me a message. So Dylan's father has been sentenced to 12 years in prison, not federal prison, but state prison. And Dylan's got a lot of questions on, like what's the sexual assault rate in prison, things like that. Doesn't sound like his father has any type of a sexual charge or anything crazy like that. It sounds like a drug conspiracy, possibly, from what Dylan told me. And 12 years is a long time to be without a father, and for a father to be without his son. So it was a pretty strong phone call. I don't get a lot of calls from younger kids, calling about their parents. So the fact that Dylan's online doing research, trying to find out, trying to find out what he can to help his father out in prison, shows that takes a lot of courage to be able to pick up a phone and call somebody. Get a little teary-eyed even thinking about it. Going to prison's not easy, and I remember going to prison, even though I didn't do as long as a lot of people. I was sentenced to 42 months and really thought I was going to serve much longer than I actually did. I got really lucky with only actually being behind bars for 13 months due to, good time RDAP and 11 months of federal halfway house. But needless to say, having that conversation with my daughters, and they were Dylan's age at the time, was a really hard conversation to bring up because you don't know how to tell your kids. And I know a lot of you are also going through that, getting ready to possibly go to prison, and you're like, man, how do I tell my kids? I'm telling you, you got to tell them. Dylan's got a lot of questions now about what's going on with his father in prison, and when you don't tell your kids what's going on, and you get to prison, they start processing this stuff, and they start wondering what to do and what they can do. Basically, they don't know where to go. So that's one of the reasons why Dylan's probably reached out to me today, is maybe his father didn't take that time to really explain to him, what mistakes that he made, what he could have done differently. I don't know all the ins and outs of Dylan's case. Dylan said his father was wrongly accused. I don't know anything about the case. I definitely told Dylan we're going to give him a shout out on today's YouTube channel because I don't care who you are, having a family member go to prison is in some ways harder on that person than it is for the actual person in prison, because there's nothing either side can do about it. So if you guys will show some amazing support today, let Dylan know, that we're here. We hope everything goes well. I hope you get to stay in good contact with your father, and I hope you build that amazing relationship with your dad while he's behind bars. And just like I told you, Dylan, you got to tell your dad how this is really making you feel. Choices that he's made, choices that you've made. Don't just say things that you think he wants to hear. Just really be honest with him so you guys can process that and then build your relationship. Another thing we're going to talk about today, other than the topic of the story, judge interview with a personal narrative and pre-sentence report. The other thing we're going to be talking about today is, as you guys know, I'm doing my community service for my federal probation. I've got 40 hours of community service. I started doing it over at Goodwill, but then right after I started that, when my news article came out, a lady locally here that has a pet shelter helping basically any kind of animal. She's got rooster, she's got a bearded dragon lizard that she's taken in as a rescue. She's got a bunch of cats. She's got some snakes, all kinds of just animals that nobody wanted. And most of these animals are in really, really bad shape. and it was very, very heartbreaking to see. You know, I've got pictures, and I'm going to actually be going back there tomorrow, taking a lot of video of this, because I feel like we've got an amazing community of people helping people. And unfortunately, we might be able to do more than just help people, right? So we are going to be doing some fundraising. She's got a legitimate nonprofit trying to raise money. Unfortunately, not a lot of people have passion for cats, you know, and mostly she's got a lot of cats that need some serious surgery. And these are not feral cats. These aren't just like stray cats out on the street. These are cats that people abandoned, threw out of the house, and these are the most friendly cats ever. If I had the space, I would take every one of these cats. It was really heartbreaking to see their eyes. One of them had like no eyes, couldn't see, glued shut. Just people have done some really horrible things to these animals. So I know you guys are amazing, and I am going to be asking you guys for donations to help with. There's about $10,000 worth of vet bills that these animals need right now, and this is all verified and documented, and I'm going to be showing you guys all that in the next couple of days. So just keep that in mind. I am going to be asking you guys to dip into your pocket in $1, $5 million, whatever it is. Every little bit helps. This lady is working on a shoestring budget. She's got 2 kids. I spent all day there today helping out, and it was just honestly, it was so sad that I almost wish I hadn't gone, because you want to be able to do more. So I'm going to be donating as well. Not just my time, but also trying to help out with some of these vet bills for some of these cats. I'm a huge animal lover. Those of you who don't know, I've got 2 dogs, 2 cats. I've had several more in the past. Those of you that know, I took in a freaking injured bird, and we rehabilitated the bird, named it Emma, and Emma's doing fine out there right now. But anyway, those are some things that we're going to be talking about. Yeah, I know. I see you posting all the time, John, with your cat. You got a cool looking cat there. So what's going on, guys? I'm looking at a different screen today. It's a little bit smaller. I apologize. You need to. They got a ball python wand. She's got 2 of them. That one of them, it was like it had like these hard scales that had grown on it because people weren't taking care of it. And it's almost, most of these animals are ready for adoption, but most people don't want to take on the burden of getting an animal that still needs to be fixed up before it goes. So these animals are in dire. She's doing an amazing job with what she has. But the woman needs help, and we're going to be taking some serious video over there tomorrow of these animals. And hopefully there's some compassionate people out there. I know you guys are in different parts of the world, but $5 here, $10 there. This lady, she needs a little help, so we're going to see what we can do to help her out. Anyway, who else we got? We got Javier in the house. Crispo, what's up, my man? Juan, I saw somebody said they were here from After Prison Show. We got Mr. Merrick. Hey, Dan, APS in the house. All right. Well, I appreciate the After Prison Show crew hanging out with me, of course, like always. Again, big shout out to you, Dylan. You're 14, and I know that's really, really hard on you right now. So we'll definitely have you in our prayers and our thoughts, and we'll be checking in with you. So let's kind of jump to today's topic a little bit. So we talk about personal narratives, character reference letters, PSRs, the pre-sentence report, when you're getting ready to, prior to going to prison, after you take your plea or you're found guilty, you've got that PSR report, the pre-sentence report, and how important that report is, and the impact that a strong personal narrative and character reference letters can actually have. We've heard prison consultants say it's bullshit. We've heard other attorneys say, that stuff doesn't matter. Well, guys, I found an interview with a judge that actually is saying he's never seen it, and he would love to see this type of stuff. He would love to see somebody take time, put in work to a legitimate personal narrative, and have it ready for the pre-sentence report probation officer at that time. He says all too often he sees people throwing letters together a week before, 2 weeks before, a night before, sends it over, and it's just a sob story, right? And that's what we're trying to explain to people that are coming in and watching these videos. That this is the stuff that you can be focusing on. This is what you can actually control, is what goes into this. So basically, this judge was asked, what do you think the impact would have if somebody took the time and actually put the hard work and the effort into their personal narrative prior to the PSR to provide the probation officer that's conducting the PSR more information that is completely core linking to what your situation is, for that probation officer to come up with a conclusion. And the judge gives some pretty sound information. This judge's name, here, let me find it real quick. I got it right here. This judge's name is Judge Mark Bennett. So I've got a video over here, and hopefully it's going to play on this live stream. If it doesn't play on the live stream, guys, I will post a link to this video directly so you guys can see it. So let's go ahead and check out this video, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit. It's a minute long, so it's not long. I just got to get it up here on the screen, so bear with me 1 second. So we're going to watch this video. The judge is basically asked what his thoughts and opinions are on if somebody were to put in this effort of a personal narrative into the PSR, not just a couple days before sentence. So let's jump into this. Here we go. Oops. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing a bunch of comments here. No sound, and I'm seeing some people have sound. So who does not? If you can hear me, go ahead and type 1. If you can't hear me, I guess don't type anything. What in the hell's going on here? So you guys could hear me, but you couldn't hear the video. Okay, so I will post that video. I apologize, guys. I don't know why I didn't play the sound on the video. I will make sure that that video gets uploaded. Apologize. That's a bummer. So basically, this judge, what he was saying is he would love to see somebody take their personal narrative, do it right, make sure it's being held accountable, not a waste of time, not just begging for mercy, and have it entered into the personal narrative. So this judge, who has been sentencing people for a very long time, says he's not used to seeing this. And that's what we try to explain to our clients, is the things that we do are a little bit unique to what judges, prosecutors, probation officers, to what they're used to seeing. It's a bummer that you guys couldn't hear it, because it's a really good statement. I will post a link to the actual interview in this video. When the video is over, it will be in the description. So we get a lot of clients that come on board. I would say 80% of them come on before their PSR, which is really, really ideal, because it gives us time to properly prepare the personal narrative. And when somebody says, okay, so what are you going to do to prepare my personal narrative? Well, we're going to give you an outline. We're going to give you a sample from a couple of other clients that have agreed to allow us to use their personal narratives to give you guys some ground in a direction that you should be starting in. Then, once you actually put your effort in and you do the personal narrative, you're going to be sending it back to us. Then that's when we really get into it. Our team who's led by Shayna, is going to go in and dig into this personal narrative, find out what you're doing correct and what you're doing incorrectly in there. Are you begging? Are you pleading? Are you going on these giant rants on why you're such a good person and how you leaving your children behind is really going to be extra hard on them? How leaving your wife behind or leaving your husband behind is going to be really hard on them? How the family's not going to know how to deal without you because you're the sole provider and you really deserve a second chance? If those are the type of things that you're putting into your personal narrative, I can assure you that's some of the stuff that we're going to go in and make changes and make recommendations that you correct. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, it's up to you what you want to submit. No one can tell you what to submit or what not to submit. But we can tell you what's working for several other clients versus what you've submitted, which looks like everybody else's report. So you got to really think about that. You got to think about what the judge is used to seeing. Imagine being in a position where you're going to federal prison, which a lot of you are, and you're thinking to yourself, this is what I'm writing. This is what everybody else's letters probably look like as well. Once you get into that train of thought, you have to be different. It's got to come off different than what everybody else's personal narrative looks like. Equally important is the character reference letters. Character reference letters are the letters that your friends and family are going to be writing on your behalf to the judge. If your character reference letters are just a bunch of letters saying how good of a guy or how good of a woman you are and you deserve a second chance and you didn't mean to do it or you were wrongly accused, we've seen people write letters that are so outrageous that it's almost like the defendant didn't read this letter himself. He just sent it in to us. I'm like, did you read this? Because if you did, there's no way in the world that you'd ever want to submit this in. Sometimes we can't even make edits and recommendations. The letters are so far off the beaten path, we've got to go back to the character reference, to the actual person, and we've got to have a talk with them explaining the direction that these letters need to go in because what they're talking about is so out in the left field. And it happens all of the time. So, what are you doing to prepare for federal prison right now? Are you just sitting around with your head in the sand and thinking that either your attorney is going to get it all figured out or you're so depressed and you're in such a funk that you can't get yourself out of it? There's certain things that you're going to be able to control, and there's a lot of stuff that you're not going to be able to control. The stuff that you can't control, you have to put it out of your mind and just hope that it turns out for the best. But the stuff that you can control, the questions you're asking your attorney, what you're doing with your free time. If you're trying to get into the residential drug addiction program, RDAP, what are you doing to try to get into that program? How prepared are you for that interview? During your PSR interview is what's going to determine whether or not you qualify for RDAP or not based on the type of crime you have. Obviously, if you have an enhanced gun charge or a violent charge, that's going to disqualify you from the program. But if you can qualify for the program based on your crime, and you do not have to have a drug crime in order to qualify for the program. You just have to have substance abuse in your history within a certain time period. If it's not explained properly in the pre-sentence report, you can be completely screwed and not qualify for anything. We see it happen all of the time. It's very, very frustrating. So what are you doing to actually prepare for that? Are you doing things like AA or NA? Are you going out and trying to get in with the community, doing community service, outreach programs, going and maybe talking to children at schools? Different things like this may seem like it's not going to make any impact at sentencing, but all the stuff getting tracked and logged, as well as you maintaining a job, trying to put in a full-time job can be hard doing all of this stuff. But if you want to have the outcome that you're looking for and serving your time in an environment that you can actually do, these are the things that you got to do, and people just do not give it enough credit. They think the only thing that matters is the plea and what their attorney is going to go do for them. What you got to understand is your attorney is really only going to focus on getting you a plea, selling you that plea, and then they're pretty much done. When you start asking your attorney, what should go in my personal narrative, what shouldn't go in my personal narrative, how much do you know about RDAP? We just saw the video I did the other day where this guy thought he was going to get RDAP the entire time. Got sentenced to, it was 96 months. Thought he was getting RDAP. Saw a couple videos in his PSR. Doesn't talk anything about his substance abuse until after he got indicted, which doesn't do him any good. Has to be prior to your indictment, guys, within that 12-month window. So it's super important that you guys are taking the time to put your own homework into this and your own research. Talking to prison consultants shouldn't cost you anything to talk to a prison consultant to get put off into the right direction. Got this light beaming me in the eye over here. Talking to prison consultants to get yourself in the right direction. If somebody's going to charge you just to have a conversation with them to just give you some basic information, call around, because not everybody's going to do that. A lot of you have called me. We talk about what you can do to better your own situation without hiring me. Some of you are so far beyond help from a prison consultant when it comes down to letters, narratives, preparing for the PSR, because you've already passed all of this, and maybe the coaching process is not something that you're going to need. There's not necessarily a reason for you to hire us if that's the situation. But if you're coming in at the right moment, the stuff that we can help you do and help you prepare can make such a difference. Hunter, I was talking to Hunter well before he went into prison. We got a couple of other guys in here prior to them going to prison on the coaching and the consulting. Those combined with a halfway decent attorney can really have a positive outcome. Hunter got in there, he did RDAP, got in, got out, served just over a year on I think it was like a three-year sentence, served just over a year thanks to RDAP and some halfway house. Guys, these programs can make a difference. Somebody posted a comment on one of the videos today, posted a comment that he did RDAP and RDAP was all bullshit. He faked his way through the program. He didn't learn anything. He said the inmates pretty much controlled everything at this prison. And the only thing he's telling me is, okay, you didn't learn anything from prison. You're still an asshole. You're still making shitty decisions, and you're still thinking you have shit all figured out. So this guy sounds kind of like a douchebag that didn't take anything from prison, didn't learn anything from it other than how to run better game in prison. If you're going to prison to learn how to get over on people and how to manipulate and lie and bullshit your way and fake your way through it, you might be able to fake your way through RDAP. You might be able to tell them what you want to hear or what they want to hear and somehow get through without getting your head knocked off. You might be able to do that, but there's a high possibility that if that's how you're looking at it and that's what you're taking out of this, that you will make a mistake in life again. You may even end up in prison again, and you can't take RDAP again. RDAP is a one-time shot. You take RDAP, you get through it, you qualify, you graduate. You can't take it again if you ever go back to prison. I've got a client going to prison right now who took RDAP in the past, graduated, and he's going back. And I asked him, well, what did you learn from RDAP? And he said, honestly, I wish I'd taken the program more seriously because I faked my way through it. And they actually have these hurdles in RDAP. I'm going to scam my way through the program. I don't need anybody else's help to solve my own problems. When you start hearing people with these self-defeating thoughts thinking they don't need help, those are the people that struggle the hardest because they're not willing to open up and be susceptible. So I'm telling you guys, if you're looking to get into RDAP, I get it, you want the year off. Everybody goes into RDAP with wanting to year off. But look, if you're going to be there and you got to go through this, why not just embrace it and actually take something positive away from it? Why make it a waste of time? Why make it the most miserable experience you're ever going to have? It's hard. It's stressful. When I say it was the hardest thing I ever did, don't confuse that with the worst thing I ever did. RDAP was by far the best thing I've ever done, but it was also the hardest thing. And that's how life is. Some of the best things in life are not easy. People want to go start businesses every day, but they're not necessarily willing to put in the hard work and the effort. You think you get a fancy name, a flashy website, a cool looking business card, and poof, business is going to walk through your door. Well, that's why we see businesses failing left and right, because they don't put in the real homework where it matters. Anybody can go spend a couple bucks on a flashy business card, and but that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to deliver whatever product is that you're trying to sell. You got shitty pizza, you're going to get a bad review. You're a shitty attorney, you're going to get a bad review. If you're breaking people's cars more than you're fixing them and you're overpricing, you're going to get a bad review. You've got to have character. You have to be able to care about what you're doing. People have to believe in you. Don't just put on this fake mask on you're going to scam your way through everything, because at some point you might think you're getting away with it, but you're not. You're really not, guys. And Juan, I got to call you because I do not know what you're talking about in the text message you were sending me. It's like cloak and dagger. I feel like you've put me on this mystery trail and you're leaving me breadcrumbs, and I'm trying to figure out what it is you're talking about, but I do not know. So, guys, the point of this video is we talk so much about personal narratives and character reference letters and how much of an impact they can have at sentencing. And unfortunately, there's a lot of there's a lot of feedback on that coming from other areas where people will say, no, it doesn't matter. You'll hear it from attorneys. You'll hear it from other prison consultants. And we know that it does matter, or we know that it can matter. And the one thing that we keep stressing is, what if it does matter? We already know that doing a good personal narrative is not going to give you more time, but what if it does shave off some time? What the judge, I wish you could have heard it. The judge said with a strong personal narrative given to him at the right time, well before sentencing, if it's in the PSR, he says that can completely change the mood of a judge and also completely change his view on the person. Too often, judges see people scrambling things together at the last moment, and how many of you have done that in your entire life, where something's due and you wait till the day before or a couple of days before it's due? You know, procrastination is a big, serious issue that a lot of people deal with, putting things off. Lazy thinking, just going about it. I'll get to it. And by the time you actually get to it, it's like, shit, I should have put a lot more effort into this. And if I would have started sooner, I sure could have. This judge flat out said he would love to see somebody take the initiative and do this. He even said he thinks it would help the client dramatically, and he'd be very impressed with the attorney if he received personal narratives at the time of the pre-sentence report. You got it coming from a federal judge's mouth. It doesn't get much more powerful than that, because that is the man that is holding your life in his hand, deciding your fate. Now, I get it. Some of you got minimum mandatories, and it is what it is with a minimum mandatory, but God forbid this judge, for some reason, doesn't find anything he likes about you and decides he wants to give you a couple of extra months or a couple of extra years above your minimum mandatory. Don't give him a reason. Give him a reason to make him go, I wish I could give you less. How good of a statement would that be? Mr. So-and-so, I wish I could sentence you to less, but unfortunately I'm bound by this crazy minimum mandatory. So guys, put in the time and effort. Pick up the phone, give me a call, text. My information's always on this screen. Also, if you haven't already done so, text the word YouTube to 35074. That's going to put you on our notification list. It's going to make sure you get updates. You guys have been truly amazing. This channel has grown dramatically just in the last week, partly due to you guys spreading the word. After Prison Show had a huge impact on Federal Prison Time with RDAP and expanding to his viewers. We received a lot of good feedback, and the really cool thing about Joe's channel is, even though it's prison related, we have different content, which means we have a different viewership, but we are finding out just off of that 1 hour that I was on there, and several people have reached out to me that need help with prison consulting, that are getting ready to go to federal prison and did not even know something like this existed. That's what we're trying to increase, is that reach, because there are so many people that are potentially getting ready for a prison sentence that do not know what to do. Forget about the personal narratives and the character reference letters and maybe getting RDAP. They just don't know how to mentally prepare. And mentally preparing, for some people, if they're not preparing for it, they're doing the opposite, which is scaring the crap out of themselves and potentially thinking of such drastic measures like suicide, escape, just fleeing the country. These are real thoughts that people have. And you might be thinking, why would somebody want to take their own life? People do it every day. If you go online, I've talked to so many clients that are involved in conspiracies where they're like, oh, they really wanted this guy. It's like, well, what did that guy get? Well, he didn't get anything because he killed himself. This is a white-collar crime, non-violent crime, first-time offender type of a crime where they weren't looking at a life sentence, but the thought was so overwhelming that they saw it as a life sentence and could not deal with that pressure and took their own lives. It happens often. I met so many people in prison that had co-defendants that killed themselves, killed their families. These are things that can be avoided if we're able to reach them at the right point. I've got a new client that found me here in Spokane. I'm going to be going out to her house next Thursday. Me and Shelly are going to go over there. It's a woman that's going to be looking at some prison time. She's still kind of early on, trying to figure everything out. Terrified, just like everybody else. She saw the article that the news station did on me here, and she asked if we could talk. So we're actually going to go meet with her. We're going to have dinner at her house. We're going to do our best to ease her anxiety. And I wish I could meet with every single one of you guys, but unfortunately, it's next to impossible, being most of us are so far away. But the advantage of living local is we can actually have that one-on-one communication and connection. So guys, I can't stress it enough. if you think you're going to be facing a federal prison sentence, if you know somebody that might be facing a federal prison sentence, do yourself a favor and don't try to handle it by yourself. There are people out there that have been through it that can give you some great information, that can give you some good guidance, give you some tips, some tricks, some things that what you might want to do, what you might not want to do. I don't recommend wearing a prison costume into prison. It worked out okay for me, but that doesn't mean it's going to work out okay for you. So don't wear a prison costume into prison, and if it goes bad, don't say, well, RDAP did it, and it worked out great for him. I got lucky with the outcome on that. So let's see. Let's read some comments here. We got a lot from Juan Carlos. Conspiracy. Yeah, conspiracies are rough, man. Conspiracies, I can't imagine. I mean, unless you're in like some hardcore murder case, next to that, conspiracies are almost unwinnable, to the point where, you know, your hands are tied to take a plea, because it is not hard at all for the feds to get you on a conspiracy. And if you don't know what I mean, look it up. There's a saying that the feds can convict. They can convict a ham and cheese sandwich if they want to. Look up that term. Look up what it means. If you're going to be signing a proffer, make sure you're going to be completely honest. You're not going to withhold any information. If you're thinking about a 5K1 or a Rule 35 where you're cooperating, make sure you know your custody level of where you're going. You don't want to be going to a medium or a pen with potentially having a 5K1 or, you know, severe cooperation where you're bringing down additional people, snitching. And I get it if you are. I'm not here to judge you about that, because it is what it is. You know, anybody can say what they want to say until they're in somebody's shoes. But if you don't know what your custody level is, if you've got a bunch of DUIs or you've got some priors, even if you haven't been to prison, if you just have prior recent felonies or misdemeanors within the last, you know, too many speeding tickets, too many DUIs within the last couple of years, you need to try to figure out what your custody level is going to be, because 5K1s and Rule 35s can cause you severe issues if you're going to prison. Meaning, when you get there to a medium or a pen, they will ask you for your paperwork being your PSR or something close to it, showing you if you've cooperated, showing you what your charges are. They want to know if you're a sex offender, possibly. They want to know exactly what your charges are. They want to know if you cooperated, because if you did, they're not willing to allow you to hang out with their groups, and the chances are they're not going to let you walk the compound or sit in the chow hall unless you're willing to pay, basically, for protection. Other than that, you'll have to check into solitary confinement or the SHU and wait to get moved to the next spot and hope the next spot is a little easier to deal with. So if you're not sure, give me a call. We'll find these things out. My phone number is, like I said, it's on that screen, 509-434-4695. We do what we can do to try to help everybody. This is a rough situation to be going through, guys, but you have to be able to reach out and prepare. Right now, you should all be thinking about your release from prison. You should be preparing to release from prison as a convicted felon, and start thinking about what that means to you, what you're going to be doing for work, what you want to do for work. Don't wait till your last 30 to 60 days in prison to really start considering this, because that's going to create so much anxiety. I had more anxiety, I think. I don't know if it was more, but it was up there. My last 60 days in prison was full of excitement, obviously, because you can't wait to get out. But the realization of being released and really not knowing what you're going to be doing is a very scary fear, because you're thinking about, I'm a convicted felon, who's going to hire me, am I going to be able to find housing? You know, even if you've got these things taken care of, you don't know what hurdles are going to present themselves from being a convicted felon, and how that's going to affect at the very least, the near future. Going to the federal halfway house, you know, get as much information as you can on the halfway house that you think you're going to be releasing to. If you're not sure, you can reach out to me. We can find out based on your release address, likely the halfway house you'll be going to. We can try to get some handbooks sent out to you, give you some information on that particular halfway house, because not all halfway houses run the same way, guys. Halfway houses are different in different areas. Some of them allow you to have smartphones, some of them don't. I have been getting a lot of questions on halfway houses later, so maybe we should be doing another video on halfway houses. Nat Wells, what is your job now, Dan? Nat Wells, this is it. I'm doing it. I put videos up on YouTube, and people find me. Some people hire me as a consultant. Some people just call me up for information. But directly to answer that question, I'm a prison coach consultant, and I charge a fee for people that want that additional help preparing with letters, things like that. What else we got on here? Hey, Kimberly, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah. Wow. Juan, you took over the chat room today. All I see is purple W's everywhere. El Gordo, what's going on, my man? Missed your earlier message. So I'm just reading some of these messages here, seeing if I missed anything. Oh, we got Hunter Moore in the house. Hunter Moore says, congrats. Well, thanks, Hunter. Appreciate you, my man. If you guys don't know who Hunter Moore is, you need to Google Hunter Moore. That's all I can say. I'm not saying anything else. You want to read some crazy stories? Google Hunter Moore out of California. But it's just, you know, people have such different paths in life, and how people meet and get connected. It's like the fact that I now have a friend named Hunter Moore who, if federal prison was not part of my past and now part of his past, he also went to federal prison, we would not know each other. And we wouldn't know anything about each other. And if I were to come across Hunter Moore without knowing anything about him, never having a conversation with him, I probably would have thought, "Wow, this guy's a." But no, he's a really good guy. Just he just got in a really bad predicament. So I go Google Hunter Moore. Find yourself some interesting information there. This is Dylan. Can you talk about my dad's case and what can he do? Problem is, Dylan, is I don't know enough about your dad's case. So if you have information, or if your mom has information on your dad's case, if you can send me stuff, then yeah, we can definitely discuss it. But at this point, all I know from what you told me, and it doesn't sound like you know the whole story. I know you told me a little bit. You know, he had some money on him, got pulled over. There was some kind of a drug conspiracy going on in the area, and as far as you know, he got wrapped up in something that he had nothing to do with. So I don't know the details of that. And I do know, and don't take this the wrong way, Dylan, I do know sometimes parents do not come completely clean with their children because they're afraid the kids are going to view them as, oh my God, you're a criminal. And not to say that you would do that. So your dad may not have known how to tell you everything. Because I can tell you, good people do go to prison. There are innocent people that go to prison. But a lot of the times, when people do go to prison, even if their involvement was little, there's usually more to the story than what we all know. I'm not saying that in this situation. So that's why I'm saying, if you have more information on your father's situation, I would love to do some research on it, read a little bit about it, understand what's going on, and then we can have a conversation about it, because right now I would just be talking about something that I have no idea about. So if that helps you out, Dylan, other than that, then yes, I would love to discuss your father's issue and see what can be done. Guys, let's talk about these animals again for a second. I told you guys, those of you that are just joining now, I've been doing my community service, and I'm doing it at an animal rescue here in Spokane. And it's a nonprofit. It's a very small. It's not like one of the big ones where they don't kill anything in this one. That's the problem. Is she takes the animals that nobody else will deal anything with. Like, there's a lot of animal shelters around, but a lot of them immediately, if the animal's got severe issues and it's going to cost money, they just kill them because they're not going to give them the medical attention that's needed. Well, that doesn't go on here. So this lady's got cats that are just the friendliest, loveliest cats that you've ever seen. Somebody from Mexico is calling me. Interesting. It's got some of the friendliest cats. They're all super friendly, but they all have some severe issues. And I went through all of. She's already brought them all to the vet. Some of them, she's already got them on antibiotics, but there's still about $10,000 that she needs to spend on vet bills for these different animals. So if you guys are able to help in any way at all, tag that money symbol at the bottom of the chat, and donate what you can, because every penny, and we're actually gonna make a video about this. I'm gonna start filming over there tomorrow while I'm doing the community service to try to bring a little bit of more awareness to this lady that is really taking on this task that she's definitely in over her head at this point, but she's in it now. She can't do it. She can't just give these animals back. She's got a lot of animals that need a lot of help. So if you guys have the ability to help out at all, guys, please do so. It's amazing. Tomorrow, after I finish getting all this information, either on Wednesday or maybe on Saturday's video, we'll post some links to the website. We'll have a nice little video put together to introduce you to some of these animals, and see what you guys can do to help out, because it's really sad to see animals living lives like this. You know, we do what we can do for people going to prison, so let's help those critters out there too. Why would she take on more animals even though she can't? Well, she's not taking on any more. The problem is a big portion of these cats came from one person that just left these cats. They basically called her and said, hey, we're moving. We can't take these cats. If you want to come get them, you can come get them. If not, we're just going to leave them here. So she didn't know what to do. She went down there, and when she saw the state of the cats, I mean, when I send you pictures on these eyeballs of these cats, it's like, how could somebody allow their pets to deteriorate like this? It's just, it was crazy that for somebody to go get a pet and treat it like this, and none of these cats were fixed. These people were just breeding these cats, not breeding them, but allowing them to just keep breeding. There's so many cats. I've never seen a situation like this, and it was just really, really, really heartbreaking. So, I'm not saying that she took on more than, she's a huge animal lover to start, and her heart's bigger than her wallet. Let's put it that way. But you can tell that she doesn't use any of the money that she receives for herself, just by the below necessary means that her living environment. There's no luxury in that house. I mean, her 18-year-old son was talking about how he still plays a Sega Genesis. An 18-year-old kid using a Sega Genesis. So it's just the whole family. There's 3 of them. It's a mom, a son, and a daughter. The daughter's 10, the son's 18, and the mom, I think, is just getting ready to turn 40. And all they do all day long is take care of animals. They've got a big old bearded dragon. I mean, it was just incredible to watch them have this much compassion for animals, that I'm like, you know what? I'm definitely going to bring this up on Facebook, on YouTube, and see what we can do to help out with the community on that. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have an amazing week. We will be back on Wednesday, 6 p.m. We'll be chatting some more. I know this video is a little bit off the beaten path. I'm exhausted. I've been up all day doing this community service and working on letters. Spoke to a few clients. I've still got a ton of emails. I've still got people to call back tonight. So it's going to be a very late night for RDAP Dan. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up a little bit early. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. Remember, do something nice for somebody else if you can. It doesn't necessarily have to be about money. But if you know somebody's struggling, give them a call. Lend that ear. Be that person. Allow them to vent a little bit. If you know somebody getting ready to go to federal prison, send them to my YouTube channel. Let them get some information. If you can share these videos, spread it out, spread the word out on your social media. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. What else? Did I miss anything else? Snapchat. It's all RDAP Dan, and that's about it, guys. Hope you guys have a great week. I will talk to you guys soon. Give me a call if you need anything. And Dylan, we will definitely be talking more. Keep your head up, man, and tell your father to be strong. All right, guys. Have a great night. RDAP Dan. Peace.